All right. Let's see here. Do we have audio? All right. Let's see here. Do we? Okay. So for some reason, the desktop audio on the start stream transition wasn't working. Okay, well, that's why we have the spectralizers to check when there's an error on my end versus your end. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and triple, quadruple check that all the audio is in place. Okay. Seems like we got that there. Got that over there. Got that over there. Yep, just triple checking that everything is good. Okay. We should now be all set. Now if I resume music, should be background level music. All right, so let's do one little test here. All right, so there we go. I'm getting feedback on my end. Let me know if music audio is good. Yeah, that seems good. Might be on the quieter side, but we got a little slider for that. Okay, cool. So what's the dealio today? We're trading euro area inflation. The RBA decision is later today. I believe no change is expected, if I recall correctly. So let me go ahead and check real quick in my notes. Let's see. Yeah, they're expected to hold. And the federal election is on May 17th. So all throughout this month, we're going to be getting a lot of political updates. And towards the end of August, we'll probably receive a few outlooks on how the different policies for Dutton and Albanese would impact our outlook for Australian assets. That's something to look out for later in the month. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. Nice, chill stream. Okay. Almost forgot to do the intro, right? Hello, everybody. I'm your boss, Joe Boss, and welcome to another daily plan, right? Another daily plan after a week off, a week break. I had some personal things going on. I did not lose my streak of streaming every week. I still did a video, uploaded a stream that for some reason didn't auto start. The auto start tick wasn't enabled on the last programming stream for some reason. But I went ahead, quickly stopped that stream, rendered the recording, and got that out. And now, here we are, and we have a whole week full of scheduled streams. It'll be a lot more action-packed than last week. However, last week was fairly action-packed. So, speaking of the RBA, if we look at the FX heat map, the Australian dollar is getting hit pretty hard. The New Zealand dollar is getting hit pretty hard. The Canadian dollar is kind of mixed. It's doing well against the Aussie and New Zealand. but bad against everything else. So the losers today seem to be Aussie, New Zealand, and CAD in that order. So let's go check those out. Here is the Australian dollar, US dollar. And so far, let's go ahead and check it out for the ranges on the day here. That looks like it's the likely low for the day here. Let's check out the timing dots. I'd say give it a little bit more time. I'd say maybe another 3.5 hours from now, maybe 4-ish. I'm more or less looking. Let me go ahead and Epic Pen. Yeah, let's get the Epic Pen turned on. I'm more or less looking at this section here of dots. And we can actually clear this up with something in the indicator. Let's go ahead and turn on only future lows. So if we do make a lower low, a low that is lower than this one here, we'll end up doing something like that. Sometime in the next, call it, 2 to 4 hours, 2 to 3.5 hours. So either the low's in now, or we got another 15-ish pips before the low actually comes in. And then who knows how this thing is going to rally. We can turn on the close lines here on this indicator and guesstimate that we end up doing something along these lines. Make that a little bigger. Something along these lines. Kind of hovering around this area. All right. Next weakest was New Zealand. And that looks like a pretty familiar spot, doesn't it? Yeah. Not as much data here, it seems. Oh, those are the settings for the ranges. Just wanted to turn off these closed lines here. I wouldn't be surprised to see the low also come in about another 2 to 3.5 hours also. Sometime on this next bar. But I'm more inclined to think that the low is probably in here. So probably not too much more movement on the New Zealand. Then we have CAD. CAD might have a bit more room to go. I had one alert go off right around here. And looking at the dots, it doesn't look like we have a whole lot of tops that come in here, given this current low. So I'd be more inclined to think that we are going to get our high somewhere here. Again, also in the next 3.5 hours based on these indicators. So that's why I got this other alert here set up at around, call it 1.4365. 143.65. Let's check out how the DXY is doing. Looks like DXY found a low right here at the peak in the low distribution. All's well there for today on the DXY. Real quick, let's check out a few commodities. Looks like oil is doing a-okay. Let's go ahead and check out the CFD version. Yeah, that looks like we've hit the full range today. We probably made our low. We probably made our high. So we'll probably end up closing within a range of the current day's high and low. Let's go ahead and check out gold real quick. Yeah, today's looking pretty good. Oh, hello, Harold. Yeah, I look away for a second from the stream chat. Hello, Harold. And hello, Ari, of course, of course. On gold for today, it's really been ripping higher, man. I had more bearish expectations for gold. I thought this was going to be it, but nope. It kept on going. And you can see I probably, yep, right there. That was my expectation. But no. All this tariff and inflation talk is still pushing up gold. All of this uncertainty around tariffs is still moving gold. And we're going to be getting, hopefully, some more news on that shortly. Turn down the music on my end. Just a tad. Yeah, hopefully you're finding the stream setup nice. With the microphone working, the audio just nice. Face cam. It's very nice to have the face cam back. Alrighty. And I can look on over at you in the chat. Okay, let's go ahead and keep on moving. How is Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin's not holding up too well, it seems. We had a bearish expectation way back here. That did not turn out well, but we are at that price now. Still a bad expectation there. It's hard to say Bitcoin's going to continue to see appreciation in this environment, but I'm still going to remain bullish Bitcoin. It's not a smart idea to be trying to short Bitcoin all the time, but you know, there are times where it's like, a lot of sellers are coming in, a lot of guys who've been holding Bitcoin for a long time are starting to come out. You know, the on-chain analytics sometimes helps confirm trends like that. Let's see here. We can check out ETH. BlackRock actually announced that they are releasing a new coin, a BlackRock coin. So, of the currencies here in my watch list that I have, the only one that's green right now is Ethereum. Litecoin, XRP. XRP's down on the day. Lana's down on the day. Cardano's down on the day. Looks like Cardano probably found a low. Let's continue on. So that's what's going on in crypto. How is the S&P holding up? Ooh. S&P is not holding up too well, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the low for the day after we gapped lower here, the opening of the week. Wish I had been long and close on my other positions at RBA, NFP, etc. I had a buy alert right on XRP, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and look at a couple of assets you guys are looking at. Let's see here. If you're looking at yens, you're probably looking at dollar yen. Wow, quite a move there. Let's go ahead and check out the weekly. Oh, check that out. It's a peak on the weekly range. Let's go ahead and do a little example here. If this is the low for the week, and that is a good size box. If that is actually the low for the week, these are the respective highs following lows somewhere in this green box right here. So given this green box, where do the following highs for the week come in? And it seems we got a cluster right here and a kind of weaker cluster right there. So this is roughly, essentially the middle of 151, the 151 handle. And that would probably bring you up to this peak here, no? So here are the dots, here's the peak. So maybe something along these lines. Who knows? Especially if NFP is looking good on the US side and continues to show improvement. Well, the growth, employment, and inflation scare going on with people's future expectations for the United States could be diminished if we get good reports over the next 2 months, including this first one here for March with NFP. So we'll see how that turns out later on in the week. Let's go ahead and check out our calendar. So in about 13 minutes, we're getting the first headline here for the stream. We are getting the inflation rates here out of Germany. And then later on, the stream won't be on for this, but we are getting some PMIs, some manufacturing and a services PMI. These could move the dollar if they come out better than expected. And then here's manufacturing PMI final and RBA rate decision right here. Much later on in the day, which they're expected to put on hold. Expect to continue holding. Okay. So we went ahead and looked at a bunch of charts already. Stream's already off to a very good start. Let's go ahead and set that actually as an expectation. Here on dollar yen, we want green for up. 125, 03, 31, 440. So let's see how well that expectation holds up. Let's check out euro dollar. We haven't brought that one up yet. I did set a more bearish expectation on the euro dollar. Let me reduce this. You have to adjust it a bit based on the size. We want probably a little bigger than that. Yep, there we go. And let's reduce bar bounds there by 1. And then real quick, we'll kind of clean things up a little bit more in the chart so they are interpretable. Let's get rid of the high dots. Okay, and let's do only future lows. Hey, so over here on this bar, I continue to expect euro dollar to hit 108 if we do end up making a new low from here. And I think we'll have our answer pretty soon here in the next 10 minutes. Because if this inflation print comes out higher than the prior number of 2.3, we will probably end up with a weaker euro. Now it's expected to come in at 2.2%. That's the year-over-year number. So the prior was 2.3, expected is 2.2. That's a gradual decrease and effectively the ECB hitting their inflation target. So now it's a matter of, does it actually print that way? It seems like most analysts are just expecting, that's the consensus, 2.2. So it would be a surprise to see 2.4. If anything, the surprises are probably to the downside. So maybe closer to 2.1, which would help the euro appreciate here. So nothing too much to overthink, really. While this is a decent expectation here, based on the odds that we have, it's important to know what's actually going on in the world. So then you're not just blindly trading stats, because these indicators here don't take into account, an economic calendar, right? They're not necessarily back tested on economic calendar events. This is based off historical chart data, these stats. So we can do our best with the data we have at hand. And as discretionary traders, we have to do our best to watch out for things that are indicators, for things that any sort of analysis we're doing is ignoring or could be potentially blindsided by. That's why it's important to know, hey, this is what I expect euro to do if this comes up. If inflation comes in higher or at consensus or lower, it's important to work out those scenarios. Do the scenario analysis. And then it'll be easier to figure out, okay, how should I approach this based on the information I have available. Hey, Trent. Nice to see you, my man. Dro on his roaring kitty. Oh, actually, I am curious. We all know this is what Roaring Kitty is famous for, GameStop. It had this huge gap up. I heard about this recently. Look at where that thing peaked out. Right there, at the peak in our probability distribution, right? How cool is that? But man, this thing has just been hit pretty hard here all since the beginning of 2025. Pretty nutty. What was the other company that Roaring Kitty invested in? I know he's famous for GameStop, but then he did a comeback, quote unquote. Like he actually did come back. I forget exactly what that other equity was. Also, we are about to get these German inflation numbers. So what I'll do now is I'm going to turn on the Squawk voice chat on Financial Juice. So if you hear anybody else speak during the stream, it's going to be from our friends over at Financial Juice, giving us the latest news and reading off the headline prints for German CPI or German inflation. And we'll go ahead and put this on, an arbitrary 30-second chart, just so we can watch the reaction happen quickly. Oh man, it feels good to be back. Feels good to be streaming again. Very happy that you guys are watching. Very, very happy to be back here in the seat with a green screen and some lights and a camera and a new mic. Feels very, very good. Took me a few days to get everything organized here in the office and to get everything set up in OBS with the new way I want things done. And overall, I am very, very happy.
8 a.m. Eastern Time, we get German HICP year-on-year prelim. Forecast 2.4% on the prior, 2.6%. German HICP month-on-month prelim. Forecast 0.4% on the prior, 0.5%. German CPI year-on-year forecast 2.2% on the prior 2.3%, and German CPI month-on-month forecast 0.3% on the prior 0.4%.
Yeah, man. I am very, very, very happy with the setup. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. Financial Juice came in a tad loud there, so I turned him down just a bit. Now, we do have some other breaking news in Europe today. Marine Le Pen, who is the leader of the opposition in France, was just sentenced to prison and 4 years of prison or 5 years of prison. She's getting, instead of prison, she's getting a bracelet, a tracking bracelet for 2 years and a reduced sentence. And she's being told that she can't run for president of France. I'm going to show you this over here. She's the most likely candidate to win, or at least up until today, she was the most likely. So this is a pretty big hit to the right-leaning fashions, right-leaning parties of France. So you can see here, a French judge has ruled far-right leader Marine Le Pen is barred from running for public office. Telegraph has a pretty snazzy breakdown. And this is a whole slew of analysis here. So, a 5-year electoral ban was passed that comes into immediate effect. She has been handed a 4-year prison term, 2 suspended and 2 under electronic bracelet. This means she cannot run for president in 2027, which would have been her best chance of becoming president. So I was quite surprised because I was looking at the details. And guess what all this is for? Because during 2004 and 2017, apparently she was misusing European Union funds to hire party staff.
1 minute remaining. I'll lead with German HICP year-on-year prelim.
When she was a member of the European Parliament. Yeah, we got 45 seconds here until the data comes in.
Financing rate 4.34% March 28th versus 4.36% March.
Let's focus on the charts here. We'll go ahead and check out that news in a second. It's very, very important breaking news here. Oh, we're getting a bit of a move lower here on the euro heading into the event. It's not even out yet.
10 seconds. Two spot 3%, 2.3% lower than forecast, 2.4%. German CPI year-on-year, 2.2%, 2.2% as expected.
Yep.
HICP month-on-month, 0.4%, 0.4%.
So we should see a reversal here
German
in
CPI
the euro.
month-on-month, 0.3%, 0.3% as expected.
should be heading higher at this point. No, we are not going higher at the moment. Well, all the metrics came in lower. We are seeing some disinflation out of Europe. So I'm not totally sure why we're continuing to see weakness here. Maybe this is just a short-term thing. What I am expecting off this is a move like so. Just a slight recovery. Let's go ahead and check out the charts. See where we can end up probably by the end of the day for close. Yeah, something along these lines here. Set that to blue.
Trump media to debut on New York Stock Exchange, Texas.
Okay. We'll see if we get any new tariff comments here out of Trump. And if we do get any tariff comments out of Trump, it'll probably move the dollar stronger. Yeah, yield curve will move it slowly, if at all. Yeah, I'm expecting us to effectively end the day range bound. We opened right here at this price, so probably have a kind of doji looking candle here on the day if things go as I expect. Okay. With that said and done, why was Le Pen charged? So she had some staff in her party that was receiving funds from her work in the European Union, in European Parliament. So it was claimed that at the time that the staff had been working on an EU basis, but the claim is that they were actually working for the RN, National Rally, in France, which is her party. So this is using European Union funds for a local party, and they were claiming that Le Pen directly benefited from effectively embezzling this money from the European Union to her own party by hiring these people as staff. So let's see here. I thought there was another one that went into a bit more detail. Yeah, it's not looking good. Not looking good for Le Pen. You know, I really would prefer Le Pen become president of France. I really would. Because as far as I know, yeah, there we go. Yeah. The court ruled that they had got, quote, the European Parliament to pay for people who were actually working for Le Pen's party to the tune of 2.9 million euro. And then saying that Le Pen was a beneficiary of the fake job scams by hiring these people onto her staff in the European Parliament, but who were just working for her own national party. And Le Pen was found guilty of misappropriating about €500,000, in particular for contracts of her bodyguard and her former parliamentary attaché. So Grijs worked for Le Pen, but was not a member of parliament in Brussels in the EU. Yeah. Now, this I found interesting. Le Pen's opponents are saying she shouldn't be banned. Yeah. Now, Le Pen can't appeal this. She can appeal her prison sentence, but she can't appeal the ban on her running for office. She can't appeal that. Unless the law changes or there's some kind of pardoning system, which I haven't seen discussed at all. It seems like Le Pen is out of the race now for president, unless something changes fundamentally with the ruling. And now, the National Rally, Le Pen's party, is going to have to likely run this guy Bardella to become the next president. The issue is that this guy's 29. He is exceptionally young. And the expectation was this guy was probably going to get about a decade more of experience and then run for president after Le Pen, effectively. So this is really screwing up the whole National Rally Party in France. Yeah, there's the guy, Bardella, saying democracy has been executed in France. So this is a huge blow for her, Le Pen, but it is a gift for Europe's nationalist right, which will waste no time in transforming Le Pen into a martyr. It will paint Le Pen as a Joan of Arc, sacrificed in a Brussels-backed globalist conspiracy to prevent a Eurosceptic reaching the pinnacle of French politics. And remember, she was expected to win by a decent margin here in the betting markets. Now let's, real quick, check out some of these comments. So Le Pen was just found guilty. What is going on? And if you read some of these comments, they're saying, oh, France now becomes the third NATO country in a month to block its top opposition candidate from the presidential race after Turkey and Romania. Leaders who oppose EU and try to run for office will often face jail or smear campaigns. You have Le Pen. Salvini. Then you have these guys in Spain, Macedonia, the Netherlands, Spain again, Ireland, Conor McGregor, blocked from running, Romania. So there is this wave of politicians being blocked one way or another from running for political office. This is a lot of people. This is a lot of people. And it looks like the euro is continuing to move lower at the moment. Do. So nothing terribly crazy here, but we might just end up hitting this more bearish expectation, and in that case you probably end up with a move that's more like this, off the bounce, something along these lines here, where you bounce off 108 and you effectively just hold it. Something along those lines. And there you go. I am kind of curious why good prints on German inflation would do this, but that generally means that something else is going on. So we'll go ahead and try and keep an eye out on the news and any breaking information. Doesn't seem like Trump is currently speaking or anything. At least he's not speaking yet, right now today. Yeah. And then here in Europe, in Germany, they're attempting to ban the AfD. In Ireland, they're attempting to jail McGregor. In France, they're attempting to jail Le Pen. Romania canceled the election. Turkey removing their EU voting rights. I believe that's Turkey. No, that's Italy. The EU has been persecuting political opponents for years, and the legacy media turns a blind eye. So when I'm looking up comments and searching by top, when I searched for Le Pen, these were some of the top ones that showed up. Yeah, they forced a repeat of the Brexit vote too. Don't forget what's going on in Serbia. This is going to make a lot of people very, very, very mad. I mean, if you don't give people political solutions to their problems, you end up forcing them into more violent, underground, guerrilla-like violence. And that's not me saying it because I have some kind of, foresight or personal thing to, I don't condone violence. However, when it comes down to looking back at history, whenever similar things have occurred, you've always stirred the pot by removing political opponents this way. You either have to then become a more totalitarian government in order to suppress the people who you are effectively removing from political life. Otherwise, those people become more violent because they aren't able to effectively share their grievances. Now, do I think that is going to happen just, for example, in France because of Le Pen? No, not necessarily. But it does increase the likelihood, it does increase the risk of something like that happening. I mean, remember what happened with the Yellow Vests. All those protests, right? And then same thing with the truckers in Canada. You're starting to see in just recent history more demonstrations, more protests on the right. The right is now becoming more politically active in their own protests. So I would not be surprised to see in the coming days that Le Pen is effectively made a martyr, and there is some kind of political push to overturn the judge's ban on her holding office, so then she can run. That would be my bet, is that there is at least a protest, a large protest, to try and undo what the judge did to Le Pen today. Yeah, French society is culturally and traditionally much more militant than other countries. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know that is more political news. That's not necessarily trading related. However, it is important context to understand, because if things were to shift more violently, more militantly, as you put it, Harold, we need to be aware of how that would impact the overall political situation. If these are wide and large-scale protests that are held for prolonged periods of time, it could impact the inflation measures, the consumer spending measures, and different survey expectations in manufacturing and in services for France. And net, that would, at least in the FX space, negatively impact the euro. Yeah, hard mofo, sometimes the French, but at the same time, very soft. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know a few just like that. Yeah, nothing too special right now on the chart, but when it comes down to things politically, there's a lot going on. Now, April 2nd is Tariff Day, which is Wednesday. So we have tomorrow and today where we have to be vigilant on any new communications from the White House. So if the White House comes out and effectively just stay tuned to the White House's YouTube channel, any press conferences. So let's see here. If I go here to subscriptions and I check the channels that I'm currently subscribed to and see who is currently live. This is outside the National Rally headquarters in Paris. So yeah, it is breaking news right now. Let's see, any other streams? Okay, nothing Trump related. Over the next 36, and especially on April 2nd, Tariff Day, or as Trump calls it, Liberation Day, over the next effectively, and then on all seriousness, just call it the whole week. Just call it the whole week. We need to be watching every single thing that Trump is saying, and if there's any news on communication between Trump and Carney, or Trump and the Europeans, or Trump and the Mexicans. We need to know what the tariff policies are going to be. And remember the last 2 times that tariffs were implemented. At the beginning of February and at the beginning of March. Tariffs were implemented technically, and then within a 24, 36 hour period, some phone calls were had, some sweet words were exchanged, and tariffs were delayed and then delayed again. Question now is, are we going to see another set of delays for these tariffs? Because the wording that Trump gave for this next set of tariffs were on the, I'd say, stronger side. Like, there's nothing left. We're putting those tariffs on. And more specifically, he's been telling more parties and promising more individual parties that yes, the tariffs will go on. With the first 2 sets of tariffs, he was telling countries and party leaders. But what makes this approach slightly different in this go around of tariff announcements is he's kind of puffed it up announcement wise compared to when the tariffs were first put on shortly after he was elected. He's called it Liberation Day, right? He hasn't done that with any of the other ones. And the other part is he's also started to talk to American manufacturers and car companies and told them, you have to move over now. So he's not just talking to foreign countries. He's being more public in his communication with companies in the United States. Which makes me feel like, okay, now he has a lot of promises out there to deliver on these tariffs. Now it's a matter of what is the size of these tariffs going to be. And maybe there is another last minute change, another last minute phone call. But you never really want to gamble on that phone call coming in. You never really want to. I traded the last 2 tariff announcements, and I actually traded them quite well. By quite well, I made money on them. I did well on them. And the way I did it is I simply took Trump at his word. I went long the US dollar both times. And I watched the news cycle as soon as everything was put on. And within that 24-hour period, when the phone calls came in saying, and the news started breaking that, we're delaying the tariffs. We're renegotiating things. We're going to give them a break here. Again, that can happen, but it needs to actually occur first. Otherwise, the base case is the tariffs go on. And you see, especially growth in Canada, hit particularly hard. And it looks like we are just about to hit my alert here. I actually posted this analysis earlier in the trade group, and the link to my trade group and access to these indicators is in the YouTube description. So, real quick, I'm going to bring up the trade group chat. Yeah. This is what I was looking at. This was about 5 hours ago. And you can see me in there. You're in the stream voice chat. So if anyone is in the trading group and wants to ask me a question on the stream, you can hop in here. You'll be automatically muted. And then I have to unmute you, or moderator has to unmute you. Oh. Looks like we hit the spot. The spot that I pointed out earlier here. Probably 20, 30 pips higher from this price of 143. I believe that says 42. So 143.42 is right about here. Bravo, Joe. Bravo. Nice. A nice, easy day. Nice, easy day. And here's to many, many more. Yeah. So, now is probably a good time for chart requests. I got nothing else more to say for the stream other than to chat and hang out with you guys for a bit. And if you guys have any requests or any questions, go ahead, put them in the YouTube chat now. And by the way, when it comes to some programming updates, went ahead and published an update to an open source style library. So anyone who's programming TradingView indicators can now use that library with all sorts of new functions that I put into it in the latest update to help them style their indicators better. This moving average, this DMA indicator here, has been a project I've been working on in the last few programming hour streams. And I'm pretty certain that it's ready to be published. Like I said in a few streams ago, it just has to be, the description just has to be written up. But also, like I said in the last programming stream, I just keep building on top of what I already have, further refining things and thinking, oh, I'd like that feature. Someone could use that feature. Oh, this is a smarter way of writing this part of the code. And it's been a great exercise to write a simple moving average indicator like this with all these bells and whistles. I mean, just look at all the settings that are here in this one indicator. Look at all these style settings, right? This is all the technical settings right here. These are all the style settings for the actual line and all these extra features here to make it super customizable. Look, you can even do bold and italic text here on the label. Now, there are other indicators that do these things, but with that library and just me being able to practice with my library and a real indicator, it's going to make, in the future, adding style and future additional customization features into indicator updates and new indicators that I make, and because this is an open source library, into indicators that other people make going forward, much easier. Saves so much time. Thanks, Joe. Nice early night. Pretty tired. Alrighty. I think then it's a good place to call. I'll go ahead and see you guys over in Discord. And I'll see you all in the next stream tomorrow in a bit. Let's see. Next stream is ISM Manufacturing and Jolts out of the United States. That's going to be on the more volatile side, especially if we get comments out of Trump on tariffs later today or tomorrow, too, on top of those US macro data points. Okay. I'll see you guys in a bit.